Hello, I'm your host, John Cavendish, and welcome to the Amazon Strategist Show, the show that's all strategy, no hacks, no silver bullets, and no magic pills, just real practical strategies for your Amazon business. So today, my guest graduated from North Carolina State in 2019, which makes me feel very old, even though one day I was the youngest guy in the room, in business and entrepreneurship. He started entrepreneurship at 9 years old, so very long time, well, not that long ago for him. With his brother. They started a car washing business before they bootstrapped with their allowance. He then had time to basically start selling online when he was at university. So he started in the, my mind has gone blank. He started in the wholesale model, really scaling up by getting relationships with manufacturers before realizing that he could then roll this out and help other sellers with their Amazon businesses. When he started this business, my mind is so blank today. It's so weird. So if you're watching, please like it if you think that I'm losing my mind. He then realized that he could develop a software product that could really help sellers to scale their advertising without going crazy like me. So he created Simpliworks. Simpliworks helps sellers launch winning Amazon PPC campaigns with one click. After he launched this in 2020, he realized that marketplaces are becoming increasingly more competitive and increasingly more time-consuming to grow your sales. So welcome to the show, Malik McRae. Sorry, not McRae. We got auto. Is it McRae?
It's McRae. Thank you, John. I appreciate it.
Oh, you got the worst ever intro from me. So thank you so much for putting up with me.
No, absolutely. I appreciate you having us.
So, yeah, Malik, how did you get into Amazon? Because I guess you were a college kid at the time.
Yeah, so I got introduced to Amazon actually through a Facebook ad, as I'm sure most folks may have seen during that craze, where a lot of people were interested in selling on the platform. And I was at university at NC State at the time. And I was working primarily as a leasing agent, helping students move into apartments and things of that nature. And I came across this business model, that seemed promising. It was one where we could buy products and resell them on Amazon. Very simple model, but it was a little bit more interesting to me than drop shipping, for example. And so at the time, I was like, okay, let's see how this will go. We'll give it a spin. And started reaching out to some suppliers, making the phone calls, sending the cold emails, got a couple accounts open, and at the time I put a few $1,000s on a credit card just to see for my first order, to see how things would go. The first month I sold, 12,000 in goods. And I was like, wait a second, there might be, a bit of an opportunity here. And, and started to continue to build that, primarily selling, through a dorm room, so had no warehouse, was sending goods, running it through a laptop, and, kind of learning the ecosystem that way, and developing expertise over time.
That's amazing. So yeah, really cool betting on yourself and putting it on credit card. And I mean, I guess it was wholesale products, so you knew the sales volume before you made the order, but that's still really, really cool.
Absolutely.
So where did that scale to? Like, where did you take that that wholesale model?
Yeah, so was the pitch that I was making to the brand owners at the time was, not just I'm willing to buy your goods, but I can help you market them on the platform, so I can do more than just resell your products. So I started to develop a bit of an expertise in advertising. I was actually blew a lot of money first, but started to kind of figure out the game there. After I started to see some success, I said, okay, well, if I can do it for these brands, why not do it for myself? And it's when I got introduced to the private label space. And, at the time I had bought did no product research, very little product research, just had a hunch that this product would do well. Probably could have done a lot more validation, but skipped those steps and, bought 5,000 of these koozies, and for these slim can drinks, these seltzer drinks. And, they show up in these big, trash bags within boxes. And I'm like, okay, great. Ready to start selling on Amazon, and listed that product, and didn't at the time, I assumed that, because it was a niche product that I could sell it successfully, with very little budget or very little attention, and was totally wrong, totally wrong. So in the first 2 months, I actually found myself with 4,800 koozies remaining, and said, okay, I need to put some time into this, because otherwise I'm going to end up with a warehouse full of koozies that I can't sell. And but what that opened my eyes to was the fact that Amazon may be free to play, but it's absolutely pay to win, and you have to invest into advertisements to really start to get that traction, and start to focus more of my attention on how to be an expert in that regard.
Awesome. And I really like that, the phrase free to play, but pay to win. That's really cool. I hope you use that in your marketing. Sounds awesome. Awesome. Cool. So you've got your 4,800 koozies, you've got your bag of cash, hopefully to spend on marketing. Like, what do you start doing to move these koozies?
Right. So at the time, it was taking some of the existing strategies we were using, using the keyword research tools, those types of things. But one of the things that intrigued me was, kind of like, how is Amazon, understanding what products to recommend? How is Amazon serving us up products to buy? And so I started to pay a little bit more attention to that algorithm, the A9 algorithm, what's ranking, what drives ranks, those types of things. Started to come across some interesting insights around themes, and how Amazon's reading text and reading searches. And the time we didn't have the data to validate some of our earlier thesis or some of our earlier thoughts on, Amazon is looking at search terms very similarly, so semantically similar keywords, Amazon is going to view those similarly as the other ones that are within that target group. And as we start to see that we could move or impact ranks by focusing on these themes, we said, wait a second, is there a more strategic way to rank that might be more white hat than a typical search, find, buy, or giveaway, et cetera? Can we intentionally focus our ad spend to start to rank more and more across more and more keywords? And we found that we were able to. And so we took that knowledge and we said, okay, can we apply this across multiple categories? And is this an evergreen, or is this a structure that might work across multiple categories? And we started to find that it was working. It didn't matter really what category we were in. This theme-based approach was getting results, and it was getting results quickly, because it was exactly what Amazon wanted when it came to understanding what a product was and who that product was serving.
Oh, I love it. That's really, really cool. So, how long have you been running the theme-based approach? And is there any kind of change over time as the Amazon updates the algorithm?
Absolutely. So, we've been running it probably since 2020, and with a systematic kind of technological approach is what found at Simpliworks. So as mentioned, we were doing retail first, and we took some of these insights and rolled them into the software on the Simpliworks front. And, what we were finding is that yes, the algorithm may change, and yes, certain keywords or targets or certain strategies may not be as effective, as time goes on. But fundamentally, this approach was how Amazon was viewing text. So looking at things like natural language processing, how is Amazon reading these queries? If you understand fundamentally how Amazon is approaching their recommendations, of course it can change, and of course things will be impacted. But at the time, we felt very strongly that this will continue to exist this way, because searches are just they can vary so much. They're so random, and you have to find a way to kind of group text similarly. So this approach has been working for us for almost 3 years now when it comes to ranking products and ranking them fast.
Oh, that's really cool. So how does your system build these themes around so do your users put in like a keyword or a product, and then your system pulls the keywords to make the theme? How's that work?
Right. So the user will simply input a ASIN, and that once we see which ASIN is in, what category it's in, a little bit more about the product, our system's going to go out and actually analyze the marketplace to see, okay, what is in our listing, what's in, as a user, what's in that user's listing, what's in the market's listing, and it's going to run an analysis to see, okay, what are some of the themes that were uncovered in this analysis. and it's going to actually build that campaign around those themes with some long tails, some more general terms, but it's structuring it based off of what exists today. And so it doesn't rely as much on search volume. It's going to look at more things like what is actually working in the marketplace, and then we go and stress test that and validate it real time in market.
That's very cool. So I guess, I think it might be quite helpful to any listeners or watchers in the future. Before you had the software, what did you do to build up these themes around a certain product or certain keyword?
It was
kind of the high level view
very,
of it.
yeah, it was very, very manual. We were very big Helium 10 users, and it was a great tool. And so we were kind of cherry picking these things, which was easy to do, if you're selling a handful of products, so the couple products, absolutely, you can kind of structure these things this way. But as we started to scale catalogs, it became more difficult. But we were using Helium 10, other keyword tools, and seeing what our product was, what was most relevant. So if we were selling running shoes, what are some of the themes that were in running shoes? Is it comfortable running shoes? Is it, running shoes for shin splints might be shin splints might be the theme that we're targeting. And so we're kind of doing it kind of in a manual type of intuition based way. And when we added data to it, it really enhanced the solution and our ability to do these types of things systematically.
No, that's awesome. So, and then what kind of structure would you use once you had these keywords? What kind of campaign structure?
Right. Yeah. So, we strongly believe that junk in, junk out, in the sense that the initial structure is absolutely the most critical component to building a successful advertising campaign. It's not to say that the initial structure is going to be the winning structure. It's to say that the initial structure puts you in a position to find that winning structure. So if you set it up right, over time, as you collect more data, it becomes a lot easier to tweak. Trying to polish junk is a lot more difficult than trying to polish something that has potential that may not be quite there yet. And so kind of how we approach it, from a campaign structure standpoint, is we launch these initial swarm campaigns, which are going to be primarily to explore, collect data, validate some of our initial predictions, or invalidate them. And we're going to look at those in a phrase or a more broad sense. So those are going to be our discovery. And as opposed to using an auto to react to data, we're going to be use these themes to try to influence where Amazon shows our products with a little bit more intention. And we're also doing our exact match, so we're also doing our long tails with very similar approaches, many sellers. We're also doing our single keyword campaigns, but in conjunction, marrying those two theme and long tail types of strategies, it's allowing us to kind of be intentional, but also exploratory and experimental at the same time.
Cool. So as well as your single ASIN ranking campaigns, your general campaigns, you've got, say, a theme campaign, shin splints, for example, theme, and that just lets you control the overall budget to those group of keywords.
Exactly right. That's exactly right.
Different types of match. Okay, cool. Nice. It's very, very cool.
It's working alongside Amazon, so Amazon has a lot of data that we can't have. They have customer data, and to a certain extent, we have to trust Amazon to provide the right recommendations. So by kind of having this type of structure, we allow room for Amazon to fill in the blanks. What don't we know? What is Amazon seeing that we don't see? And this theme-based approach allows them to fill those gaps, and then we continually refine that strategy from there.
That's very, very cool. So what type of automation can you use to make it not extremely laborious?
Well, Simpliworks, but if you were to do it manually, 2 to 3 word keywords, or 2 to 3 word targets is a great way to start. Filtering your data by that set and saying, okay, I can't target all of these at once potentially, but maybe we start with the smaller set of themes. And you want to be very, very intentional, but also on top of those campaigns. So they're a little bit more broad. So you don't want to let them run wild, but start with a few themes, or start with a few targets. And as you're collecting that data, you're refining very quickly. The data is going to tell you where you need to put the spend. And by being on top of that, so don't set it and forget it in the first 2 to 4 weeks, kind of making sure you're babysitting them a little bit and then refining that strategy. And it's going to set that initial framework for you to scale or to expand upon what's working.
Okay. So I guess like then you decided after this, you started building the software, building Simpliworks. Like that's a really cool pivot. I think a lot of people who've used software think, oh, I'd love to build my own software one day. Could you tell us a little bit about the journey of like how you started building a piece of software? Because some of us would love to build our own apps. Maybe some sellers would like to just get the API integration and build the little things. Like, yeah, how did you do it?
So that wasn't the original plan. So we at the time, I was in school, and we had a client that we were working with, and they had asked us to, build this widget where we were able to view data in a specific type of way. And I told them, absolutely, we can build that widget. Give us to the end of the weekend; it'll be no problem. We'll have it for you. And it was a big client, so we're like, we have to say yes, and we have to get it immediately, which is a mistake, by the way. Make sure you can do it first. But and so I went to a friend of mine, that was a referral, that was a developer. And I said, hey, trying to build this thing and this widget for this client, what would it take? I told him that we'll have it by Friday, in a couple of days. He's like, Malik, no chance. There's absolutely no chance that we can get this by Friday. You have no idea what is actually required to build this type of technology. And I said, well, I already told him we can do it, so we have to try. And he's like, we're going to try. He brought in his roommate. They are coding away almost 2 days nonstop to try to make this widget work. And it wasn't software quite yet. We're taking some exports and turning them into, new outputs. But it was a proof of concept. And so once we had that proof of concept and we took it back to the client, and they said, this is very interesting. I can see how this might be able to impact our sales. I can see how we can build upon this. We said, wait a second, we might actually have something here. And we then begin to build the software and start to work on, improving things and eventually raising financing to kind of expand on what we've already done. So it didn't start there. It didn't start as software. It started as a solution for a client that, we saw potential in.
Cool. So were you just basically running the reports, downloading the CSVs and feeding them into the backend version 1? And then after that, you built the API integration to pull the data and started building a real front end on it?
That's exactly right. Mm-hmm.
Oh, very, very cool. So how was that journey of raising money? How did you decide you wanted to raise money, and how did you go about that?
It's a good question. It was harder to bootstrap than the market may make it seem. And it was coming out of college, so I didn't have a lot of savings that could just be invested, so I had to start generating income, soon. We were doing, work with the business, but not enough to, hire a development team for ongoing months, with no promise of a product, or things that will be sellable, and a lot of experimentation. And so in our case, we, from the very beginning, we said, let's focus on, bringing on a few customers, getting a proof of concept, even if it's manual or mostly manual at front, but let's get some revenue in the door on this thesis. And, as we started to get that traction, we consulted with some technical experts and said, look, you guys are going to need a lot more than what you have now to actually do this. And we said, no, we think we can do it. We think we can do it. And, the consensus was to really build a robust type of product, and that can serve hundreds of thousands of sellers, it's going to require some capital, and you can bootstrap, but it's a speed thing. You can bootstrap so long. And in this space, as I'm sure you're familiar, is there's a new tool popping up. There's a new Me Too tool popping up every other week, and they're going to make the same claims, and they're going to make this, the same type of marketing, and they're going to adopt all those things that they see are working. And in order to really compete with that, you have to have a war chest to a certain extent.
Mm.
You have to be able to move quickly. You have to be able to adapt quickly. And, and we knew that at that time that we were going to need some financing to be able to have that flexibility to truly compete in this marketplace.
That's very, very interesting. So you raised the money, you want to differentiate yourself, and what's your, well, I guess, is there a difference between your marketing angle and what your service actually does? Or what's your angle for Simpliworks being different from, as you said, all these like Me Too, say PPC management services out there?
Right, absolutely. It's twofold.
Mm.
From a software side of things, we're the first market software in the solution or in the marketplace that was able to build campaigns from scratch. So with a single input, just an ASIN, we're able to go in and do the keyword research, the keyword analysis, campaign configuration, and the campaign deployment, and of course, manage ongoing all in a click of a button. So
Wow.
that wasn't done before in the space. And we leaned on that, absolutely.
Mm.
And but with that in mind, there was more to this true solution we felt. And so what we have is a model that's essentially a SaaS and service type of model. Business owners need more, and the market isn't quite ready yet for full automation, in our opinion. It isn't quite ready yet to just put that dollar in and just let that thing run, to end the time. And so what we've built is a hybrid type of model where it's powered by our AI, but we also have marketing specialists that are reviewing these campaigns on a daily basis, that are tweaking things or moving the knobs to kind of push and guide that product to success. And that's how we're able to squeeze out that incremental, gain is through that human in the loop that's kind of supporting the AI system. It's been our competitive advantage.
Yeah, no, I really like that. And I think there's a lot to be said for this type of putting an ASIN in and just getting a campaign out, because a lot of the softwares we focus on Amazon sellers, but there's people who really focus on Amazon, being Amazon sellers. But I guess 90% of the market is people that aren't focusing on Amazon. They just want to make money out of the channel, and they don't want to have huge teams of people just managing their advertising campaigns. So yeah,
right.
that's super smart.
It's a lot of overhead.
A lot of overhead. And if you've got hundreds or thousands of ASIN, that's an expensive fee from a PPC agency if you want to manage every single one in a way that you should be managing every single one.
Right. And it's difficult for an agency to do that as well, from a human management type of sense. And it's always a challenge with an agency is that there's, their goal is to reduce the time spent on accounts. And your goal as a seller is to maximize the profits and the sales. So it's always challenging because it requires more focus, more attention, more time to really make these accounts successful.
Yeah, and that's why AI is so amazing. If it is if it has the intelligence part of it.
I like that.
Is there anything else I should be asking you about Simpliworks, really?
I'm curious to learn a little bit more about what your audience might be interested in when it comes to some of the tools or platforms that you've had on previously.
So I mean, with the Amazon strategist show, can't even talk today. So we're focusing on the strategy side. So I guess it's how could a user or one of our listeners implement Simpliworks into their stack, tech stack, services stack, to get better results, really, because we're here after the long term returns, not just like the quick wins and the hacks.
Right. Okay. So I'll talk not about Simpliworks, but just from a fundamental type of strategy perspective. This theme-based approach with rank-based optimization. And so we're all looking at ranks, when it comes to how am I ranking organically, those types of things. But what I mean with those two pieces in conjunction is that by taking a theme-based approach, one, you're having a structured approach to how you're going to rank your product. And so you may only target one theme, two themes, 5 themes, depending on what your marketing budget might be. But that I'm only going to target keywords that are within this theme. So I'm going to focus on this theme and ranking on comfortable running shoes, whatever it may be. I'm going to focus all my attention on that specific theme. So when my budget, and quick digression, on an Amazon automatic campaign, for example, Amazon has no intention to rank your product well. They have no intention. It's a conflict of interest. They want you spending on advertisements till the end of time. And they want everyone spending on the same keywords so they can get $20 clicks. So they have no intention to help you rank, but they do help you discover keywords, which is great. However, by taking this theme-based approach, you're saying that no, I want to rank here. I want equity in those search results. I don't want to rent the real estate. I want equity in those search results. And you focus your spin on ranking organically as opposed to just driving a good ACoS. And a good ACoS isn't going to scale you. Unfortunately, it's too competitive now. You have to rank on more and more keywords, index for more and more keywords, and that's going to be your path to sustainable success.
No, and I love that you're talking about that because too many softwares talk about ACoS. Because anyone can go to a certain ACoS. You can get 5% ACoS on any product, but you may only be making one sale a week with your 5% ACoS. Mm-hmm. So I love that. So I guess that opens up a question: how does Simpliworks monitor rank, or do you monitor rank, or is that done in a different software?
Absolutely. So we absolutely monitor ranks. It's a big part of our intelligence is how is the market moving? What's the dynamics on a specific search term? How is your competition competing on a specific search term? And we're tracking these things up to 24 times a day, depending on the keyword, and the product, the marketplace, those types of things. Is why we're doing that is because right now, every dollar matters. Every single dollar that we're spending matters. And we want to make sure that we're investing those into terms or targets that are going to rank us better organically. We'll take a lower ACoS or whatever the case may be if we're seeing an intentional rank growth. And so if our budgets are going somewhere and we see, yes, we're converting well here, but we can't drive ranks, we're actually more prone to reinvest that or reallocate that spend towards keywords where we see ourselves ranking well. So and that's top first page, even middle of first page, movements upwards. Where can we rank easier? Because I'll take 1,000 searches a month on a specific target, or 500 even, if I know that I'm going to see 40% of that click share in the first 3 positions, because those add up. You went on a few long tail keywords or in a theme of keywords, those sales, those incremental organic sales start to add up. That's our game plan. To win you more first page placements. And in order for us to do that, we have to track these things ongoing and know where to put those dollars.
Yeah. And I love that. So I love the fact that, you're actually allocating spend where it needs to be, as opposed to just like, this keyword's got 10 times more searches. Mm-hmm. So Kaylee's commenting. Hey, Kaylee, 10 times more searches. So we give it 10 times more budget. Mm-hmm. It's true. Right. Every dollar matters, Kaylee. Every dollar matters. Kaylee has a cool event upcoming in South Africa early next year, don't you, Kaylee? So we'll be promoting that soon. Search Kaylee Bendall. All right. Awesome. Thanks for sharing so much, Malik. I think that's really, really, really good content. And we're going to have some amazing outtakes and little bits we can share with little strategic bits, because what you're sharing is quite unique from what we've had on our guests, which I love.
To hear it.
So we are getting towards the next section of the show. This is the time when we give back to our users. Get the users? Not our users. If you're a user of Seller Candy, we give back to you too, but give back to our listeners. And we have a little game. Malik, are you willing to help me with the game?
Absolutely. How can I help?
How can you help? Well, our amazing producer, Vivian, will bring up the wheel, and then we'll take you through how it works. Oh, and actually, first we'll announce the winners. So we have 3 winners from last week's show. Those winners are, we need a drum roll. So I do have a drum roll at home, but we don't have it yet. Yeah. All right. First winner is Michael McCluskey, who won the Accrue Me swag bag. So if you want money, you should go and talk to Don at Accrue Me. And Don is an amazing guy, amazing entrepreneur, been through 5 or 6 different industries, thousands of employees, awesome company, Accrue Me. Second winner, we have 3 winners. We have Eric Flatt and he got an audit of Amazon sales and marketing efforts from Canopy. And I believe that's actually directly from Brian Johnson. I think he may jump on a call with you. Don't quote me on that. So congratulations, Eric, and hope you like chatting to Brian, if it is Brian. And number 3, we have Chris Ball, who has won a month of Norm's free Tariff Buddy. So Norm with a beard. Tariff Buddy, I haven't used it yet, but tariff codes are super important if you're importing from anywhere, China especially, because of all of the anti-dumping and all those kind of regulations. And you can save literally thousands or tens of thousands of dollars by just getting your tariff codes right and not giving your money unnecessarily to the government. I mean, obviously, if you owe them, the US government will track you down and put you in prison, but make sure that you pay the right amount of money. Not too much, not too little.
This is true.
Just right, in the middle somewhere. Yeah, and even if you don't live in the US, make sure you pay, because you don't want to visit the US and then end up in federal prison. It's not known for being a lovely place to be. All right, cool. Now let's bring up the wheel, Vivian. Let's bring up the wheel. Malik has very kindly put up 3 prizes to add to our wheel. The first prize being a SEO and PPC audit with actionable insights. The second prize being 50% off all plans for 3 months. So give it a try, call him out. And number 3 being an extended 60-day trial for up to 10 ASINs. So yeah, very cool. Thank you, Malik, for adding those. That adds to our wheel of a huge amount of stuff, but I'm going to read through a few of them. $400 worth of free reimbursements from Seller Candy. There's many different cash options, with one of them being $100 cash. We've got a 30-minute consultation on any topic with Don from Accrumi. I'd love that one. Don is super insightful business owner. We have Amazing at Home, listing review, Canopy call with Brian Johnson, Clear the Shelf. So if you want to do some reselling, Chris at Clear the Shelf has one of the best courses on reselling, and it's a good way to add extra revenue. You're not building a brand, but you're literally adding cash in bank if you get it right. And many, many more. So are you excited and ready to play, Malik?
I am.
All right, let's run the intro. If it works. We will see if it works. Technical difficulties will be edited out. Awesome. Okay, you are in control, Malik. Well, verbally. You're verbally in control. You have to stay spin the wheel.
Let's spin that wheel.
And it's your prize.
I love it. I love it.
Game. So next week we will be introducing somebody to you with 50% off for 3 months. I hope you can afford it. Thank you, Malik. All right. You're going to spin it 2 more times. My beautiful assistant, Malik.
Spin that wheel.
I need to get you a little black dress. All right. Awesome. Wow, someone's won the call with Brian. So 45-minute consultation on Amazon advertising or differentiation directly with Mr. Brian Johnson, the big man. We had a podcast on the podcast with Brian. Viv, our producer, made this amazing 3 twins comparison with Brian Johnson, Jeff Bezos, and who was it? And The Rock. So we said that Brian was the love child of The Rock and Jeff Bezos, because he's kind of like a bigger version of Jeff, more muscular version of Jeff. All right, not anymore actually. All right, one more time.
Let's spin that wheel.
We need the countdown music from.
We need some music. That'd be nice.
next time we'll get the music. And someone's won $400 of free reimbursements with Seller Candy. Nobody's won that in weeks or ever potentially. So yeah, congratulations. If you won that, our team will be reaching out to you from Seller Candy to give you $400 worth of free reimbursements, which is $400 worth of top level reimbursements. So whatever the fee would be on that is free. Excellent. Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for taking part in the game.
Thank
Awesome work,
you.
Malik.
I'm glad we were both winners today.
Exactly. We're both winning today. Nothing is fixed, but we both won in a game that has 30 different outcomes. I promise nothing's fixed. All right. Cool. So next area of the show now is the high stakes, high pressure part for you. First, actually, we have one question we can ask before we do that to break the ice. What's one strategic element you think that most people are missing when selling on Amazon? We ask all of our guests.
Understanding their unit session percentage, their sessions, and how costs are advertised. Am I back?
Oh, one of us has stopped. Oh, you're back. Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. Those numbers are a great indicator of, how far a dollar, an additional dollar invested can take your business. It's one that we see that a lot of businesses we're interacting with are not paying enough attention to. There's an equation to these things.
Nice. No, and I love that because there's definitely a theme from all of our guests, which is metrics. Track the metrics in your business. Anyone who's achieved anything in the world usually goes back to, what are the metrics?
Right.
Like, what are your percentages? What are your leads? What is anything? So in any type of business. So yeah, I love that. All right. So now we have 9 rapid fire questions. Okay. These might be the most difficult questions you've ever done. You thought it was hard to graduate from North Carolina State. Try graduating from this podcast. No pressure.
We'll see what we can do.
All right. You ready? There's short answers, rapid fire. So number 1, what is your favorite Amazon niche?
We like pets.
If you could choose no pictures or no reviews, what would you pick?
No pictures.
Name a country that starts with the letter S.
Singapore.
Your girlfriend's going to be so happy. Which Amazon marketplace is the next big opportunity?
Like India. It's difficult with costs, but it's growing very, very fast.
Pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
Absolutely. Extra pineapple.
Extra pineapple. I mean, I'm not averse, but yeah, extra. Name something appealing about working from home.
I can take Zoom calls in my boxers.
Thanks for the information. Google or Facebook ads?
Google, like search bars. Facebook's difficult today.
Name something you'd hate to find swimming around in your bathtub.
Shark.
Amazon or Walmart?
Amazon, but Walmart's making moves.
Awesome. Thank you, Malik. You are our best ever. Answers, you passed, you graduated. You are now officially an Amazon strategist.
Do I get a virtual degree or anything like that?
Oh, that would be great, Viv. Please make a virtual degree, if possible. All right. So before we dive into the Q&A, how can people follow you, contact you, stalk you online, not in person? Right. How can people reach out to you if they want to connect?
LinkedIn is the best. Malik McCray on LinkedIn. Instagram, we're at Simpliworks. Facebook is at Simpliworks. But LinkedIn, if message connected, say you saw the Sour Candy podcast, and let's get connected.
Awesome. So they are popping up on screen right now. So you can follow Malik any of these places. Check out the Simpliworks website. And they'll also be on our partners page very shortly, which is launching very, very soon.
Excellent.
So very excited for that. So we are now going to open up the Q&A. We have a few minutes before Malik has to go and do all of his busy work, because I know you're running a growing software company, which is very, very cool. So if you have a question, please do type it in the comments. Kaylee, if you're still watching, she says, "Hi, John." Yeah, Kaylee's everywhere. Every time I go to an Amazon event, anywhere in the world, in London, in Vegas, in Australia, I see Kaylee. All right. Yeah, so 3 continents I've seen around now. So from Instagram, should I bid on competitors' brand names?
Absolutely. We've seen some of the most success bidding on competitors. What we like best is when that competitor is not on the platform. So if they're a premium product and then they're collecting Amazon, market towards that brand name all day.
Cool. And then I guess how should you set the budgets for your competitors' names? Should you be bidding very, very aggressively, or should you just be setting lower bids and lower budgets?
I think it depends on conversion rates. And if you see that competitor on similar keywords as yourself, it might be worthwhile to invest there. If you're looking to get the best return, look for trending products. So new products that are starting to kind of gain traction, bury them before they gain too much traction. That's what I'd recommend there.
Bury your competition.
Absolutely.
Nice, the Jeffrey Dahmer approach to PPC advertising. My wife was watching that yesterday.
That's exactly right.
All right, cool. We'll take that as an outtake. Okay. Another question. When do you conclude an ad test? I guess that means judge whether it's, clarify if you want, but I would guess that it's judge whether it's successful, not successful, and whether you should implement it into your ongoing campaigns.
Right. 2 weeks is a good data collection period. Typically, though, our campaigns are going to run about 3 months. Essentially, what we see is that there's inflection points on rank. So once you start to hit those points, you'll see a big jump in rank. And those cycles will usually go for about 3 months until you really need to refresh that campaign, sometimes entirely. It's a lot different than it used to be. We've seen campaigns that were, active for 4 years. But now you have to stay agile, always launching new campaigns if you can, to stay competitive.
And I guess a follow-up to that then is what about when Amazon starts messing around with their algorithm? Because I know when I was a seller, I'm now not anymore. Now we just provide, seller candies, which is back-end maintenance services. But when I was a seller, if Amazon changed their algorithm at some point and you had an old campaign where you hadn't been properly monitoring before software existed, one keyword would take off and spend your entire budget in, an hour. Does that still happen? Is Amazon still messing with the algo, and then a keyword that wasn't getting any impressions suddenly just becomes the hottest thing in the world?
Yes. And so that's where it comes back to, training Amazon. Amazon may have just not considered you relevant on that keyword. So advertising is a combination of your bid price as well as the relevancy. So we have to train Amazon. We have to tell them there's a lot of keywords you'll see that you think your Amazon should know that this is your product and you're not indexed for it. It's hyper relevant. So the algorithm will change. What we advise is just kind of having a structure that is algorithm proof. So no black hat tactics, focusing in on things that are fundamentally sound, so that you're always discovering new opportunities.
Yeah, that makes sense. Just long-term strategic inputs, not just shoving all of the keywords into everywhere you can think of.
That's right.
All right, very cool. Any more questions? Oh, wow, already. Do manual adjustments still make sense when automated bidding?
Manual adjustments as far as the bid goes, or I'm guessing, yeah.
If you can clarify, whoever asked the question, that'd be awesome. If not, maybe we can go in the direction of if someone's using your software, should they make any manual adjustments, or should they just leave it to the software always?
We recommend leaving it to the software. So as I mentioned, we keep a human in the loop. So they're reviewing those campaigns and it's not leaving it to full automatic. We track the changes that are not us, but we do recommend, kind of letting the software and the platform do its thing.
Well, so one question I would have if I was using the software, if I'd come in and just to share is I'd be, okay, so I've been aggressively managing this group of products. And I know that you need to keep your bids up on this keyword for us to maintain our rank on that keyword. How would a seller then come to you and integrate with your system? And because they might be worried that your system would knock down the bids on the thing they're protecting.
Right. So we are going to launch entirely independent campaigns, and we're going to import that data. So we're going to use that data to better guide our campaigns, but they're going to be non-intrusive. So if you have existing campaigns in place, you can keep them. We'll likely discover some of your winners naturally as well. But we're going to use what you already have there to kind of guide that and to guide our strategy. And of course, again, human in the loop. So we take the feedback as well. If they're submitted, we love that.
No, I love that. Because I mean, that would be my number one objection, and that answers that. So that's very cool. Anything else we should know? And there might be any more questions. If they come in, we'll put them up. But anything else that we should know about Simpliworks or you, or anything you'd like to share? It's just a small group of a few hundred people.
Here we go. Mostly keep advertising, but advertise with intention. Don't advertise for an ACoS. If you're not focused on your ranks, you're likely not getting the best return out of your ad dollars.
Love it. What an amazing closing statement. So thank you so much, Malik, for being on the Amazon Strategist Show. It's been a lot of fun. I've had a really good time chatting to you for the last hour, 15 minutes before, and then for the episode, which has been super cool. And for everyone listening, thank you for listening to the Amazon Strategist Show. Please rate and review us on whatever platform you're listening to. If you're watching the live video on LinkedIn or Facebook, please like, share. No abusive comments, only directed at me, because it's the questions I've asked. Be sure to check back next week for another live episode, and check us out on Spotify or Apple Podcasts for all the pre-recorded episodes that we roll in a couple more times a week. So, also, if you're having trouble with your account, check out sellercandy.com, where we can do any of the back-end work that you hate doing. So whether that's flat files, plans of action, dealing with Amazon, calling Amazon, basically dealing with any Seller Central thing, so you can have the Seller Central experience that you wished you always had. So thank you so much, Malik, for being an amazing guest. And thank you to all the listeners, and see you next week.
John, thanks so much. Thanks to listeners as well. Thanks.